Hey guys, welcome back to the Modern Samurai Project podcast, where we talk to individuals that are shining examples of the self-reliant lifestyle. What the fuck does that mean? Anything from martial arts to fitness to nutrition to GATS. Basically, people have taken control and responsibility for their own lives because they know no one else is coming to help. That being said, like I said, we have a shining example today of Mr. Bill Blowers of Tap Rack Tactical. Per my norm, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Bill Blowers, man, recently retired cop after almost 26 years. 22 of that was on the was a member of a SWAT team, which is what I wanted to do. Prior to that, I was in the Army for 6 years. Been running the training company. Well, a buddy of mine who was a SWAT guy with Tacoma Police Department. We started a company, and I think it was 2003. We did that together for a couple of years, and then decided to bust that company up, and I started Tap Rack. And I think it was November of 2006, and I've been running by myself ever since, just teaching SWAT-related courses, weapons courses, that type of shit around the Pacific Northwest, only to police officers, only law enforcement, that kind of a dealio, until this year when I retired, and then I opened up the gun classes to good citizens, good Americans, as well as cops coming to those types of courses.
Okay, awesome, man. And we talked a little bit about, before the show, about what the podcast is about specifically getting better, right? So, we're not going to really talk about things like mindset and fundamentals and follow through because no one else really explains those too well either, but specifically to get better. So here's my question for you, Bill, right? So you're former Army, longtime LE, SWAT instructor, things of that nature, and you have exploded onto the national scene in the past couple of years, right? My question for you is, why you? I mean, you're my mate and I love you to death, brother, but why you? Plenty of other dudes with comparable resumes and experience, but they're still doing their local gig, if anything at all. Why you? Why do you think you've gotten so much traction the past couple of years?
Well, so I guess so. I'm gonna take you back in the time for a minute, right? Number one is, I remember as a young corporal in the Army, you obviously start training soldiers, right? That's part of your task and purpose is to teach the younger guys the job of being a soldier. And I remember doing that and actually enjoying that component of the job a lot, right? Where new soldiers would come in, motivating those guys, and I guess it was leadership too, just trying to make a dude better through my own competency, my instruction, my guidance, whatever the hell you want to call it. And I think I was successful in that. I had, got plenty of little awards and medals and bullshit from the Army to show that my squads were solid and so forth and so on. And so I think that kind of set the bug in me. Fast forward, become a copper, first agency, not much opportunity, second agency that I switched to because I wanted a bigger department. Got lucky, got early on the firearm staff. And life sometimes there's some luck, and I think there's a whole bunch of just focused effort that people take as luck. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's no doubt there's some luck involved, but anyway, right time, all that kind of crap, and a email comes out. I'm just off probation. I mean, I'm just a brand new dude still in the organization I retired from, but email comes out and says, hey, looking for range staff. So if you're interested, here's how you apply, blah, blah, blah. And so I thought, I like shooting guns. I like training fucking dudes to shoot guns. Let me get involved in that crap. So I submitted. I remember I was typing the email up at our West substation, and a beat partner of mine was in there, and he's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm putting in for this thing. And this is a very seasoned dude in the organization. And he started laughing. He goes, good luck, man. You're brand new. You think you're really going to get that position? I said, I don't know. I know I won't get it if I don't apply for it, right? So may as well throw it in and see what happens, right? So I write the statement. I talk about all the ranges that I had run as a sergeant in the Army, and from M16 to pistol to Mark 19 to 50 cal, whatever the fuck. And I'm trying to fluff this thing up as much as I can. I submit, and I'll be fucked, right? I get the position. I'm like, hey, I'm part of the range staff now, and so that starts me. And so I guess the point of that is I think there's a little bit of luck, but based on the timing of that, and then some focused effort because it was something I wanted to do, and I had the background to get it done. So I'm trucking along, doing that thing, obviously end up going to the States Firearms Instructor Schools, and and that opens the doorway to other firearm instructor based courses. Now I'm teaching within the organization, and because I'm teaching and getting some success at that, and I think the guys are enjoying how I'm presenting information, that opens up opportunities for other instructor positions or other opportunities to teach within the organization. And so I started doing those things. And then I eventually, on the SWAT team, of course, there's no, well, I guess it depends on what state you're in, but there was no, like checkbox. I mean, you get different certifications and different things. So you start to teach those topics. You're teaching tactics. You're showing the new guys how to be a SWAT guy on your team, blah blah blah, right? So moving forward, and I remember telling them we had gone camping with the kids, and I'm come full circle here, and I don't know how the fuck I went from SWAT to camping, but we were we were camping with the yeah, I don't know, camping with the kids,
camping in the woods, camping
yeah,
out before the front door.
yeah. So, and we had gone to the east side of Washington State, which is desert. Typically, you get better weather, right? You're just, type of deal. So, whatever. We're over there camping, fishing, swimming, doing all that shit with the kids. And my wife and I decided, well, fuck, rather than spend the night in the tent, let's just load everything up right now. It's the last day. We're going to leave in the morning. Let's load everybody up and head home tonight. We'll just drive through the night and, get the kids in the rack and put the equipment away tomorrow, whatever the hell. So, oh, cool, cool. So we're driving back, kids are asleep, and we're talking about career, and this is like 16, 17 years. I mean, it's a long, long time ago. And she's like, we're talking. I said, I think that this instruction deal, right? The SWAT instruction, firearms instruction, is kind of what I want to do. I'm really enjoying that aspect of the job. I'm really digging, what's going on. And I'd had a couple of occasions already at that point where, Scott Jedlinski would come up to me after some kind of critical incident or call and say, "Hey, dude, I just wanted to say that what you taught me in that class, I think helped save my life." And you get those type of statements, as you're aware. And those things hit you in the core. You know what I mean? You're like,
Oh, dude. Yeah.
it's just so awesome to hear that. And so she said, "Why don't you do it?" And I said, "Well, I don't think I have enough experience yet. So I'm going to wait until I get enough experience." And I don't know where that date is at, kind of a thing. But I guess the whole point of this thing is I've been trying to do it my entire career without really trying. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
I didn't want to be a nationally known instructor, and actually, I just wanted to teach dudes. And so once I started teaching at the state basic SWAT school, which is, running every cop in the state goes through that class once you get put on a SWAT team. And so my friend from high school, Steve, I won't mention his name, never mind. This guy who's was on Tacoma SWAT team, he's also teaching there. Very entrepreneurial dude. He owned some sandwich shops and some other things going on in his life, and him and his wife just very, very smart people, both financially and business wise and that kind of shit. And so as we're teaching, we'd get dudes within the class would come and say, "Hey man, you taught a small block on breaching as an example. I've already talked to my TL. What would you guys, how do we get you to our team to give us an expanded block on breaching?" And so initially me and Steve were like, "Well, fuck man, we'll cover our hotel and food and, that kind of a thing. We'll just come out and do it. Just, let's schedule some dates and get it done." So then we would burn comp time or vacation. We'd go to this place, wherever it was. Obviously we're not losing any money other than time that we could be spending with our families, but we'd go teach the classes. And then from that, because Steve was a very business oriented guy, he's like, "Man, we should just make a company up." And I don't know shit about how to do any of that crap, right? Make an LLC or anything. And so he just kind of took the lead in that. And so we started that first company. And of course I got a million questions. I'm watching how do you get registered as a corporation? What kind of tax deals are we dealing with? At that time we had, dealing with K1s, multiple people involved. Obviously, both of our wives were part of the business. Just all of that business aspect of it was interesting to me as well. And it was definitely a leg up to Steve. I mean, he was essentially my business FTO, right? Because he'd already with all of that crap. So, is this too long-winded, man? Well,
no, not at all. But let's hold for the non-LE. FTO is Field Training Officer. Please continue.
All right,
this is fast. By the way, dude, this is fascinating. So keep on trucking, man.
All right. So anyway, we start that business up. Like I said, he goes off and wants to do other things, and then I start tap rack and start working that shit on my own. And about this time, 2006, 7, I'm thinking, man, I think this is the post-retirement gig, right? I'm not going to go, work at Home Depot or something else. I'm going to stay solid with this shit and just do LE-based courses. And so I'm trying hard. My daughter says, "Hey, Dad, you need to get a Facebook." And and this and that. And I was like, I ain't getting no Facebook. That's for God. If you ain't under 21, then you should not have Facebook, right? It's like kids hanging out shit, or you're a pedophile, one of the two, right? That's what Facebook is for. I run investigations off Facebook. I don't participate in Facebook, right? And so she's like, you're a dipshit. You know, the young cops are the guys that want to go to your training, and they're the guys that are on Facebook.
Yep.
She actually set my first Facebook up because I didn't know how to do it. She kind of shows me how to work it, whatever. So I don't even know what the fuck to do in there. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of plodding along and hoping I get some friends and whatever the heck kind of a thing. And I don't know how those are going to end up expounding into being something that's beneficial to me on the business side. So I'm chugging along. I had been in, different forums and shit like that with gun related crap, SWAT, NTOA's forum, that way back in the day with, Light Fighter and a variety of different places, rather than name drop a bunch. And I end up stumbling into primary and secondary. And so I'm reading some of that crap, and I'm making my post. I don't mean that literally, you know what I mean? So I'm reading some posts and shit, and occasionally I'm popping off and making comments. And so Matt Lanfair messaged me, says, "Hey man, I'm Matt Lanfair, primary, secondary, whatever the fuck, and who are you?" type of deal. So we start discussing shit on messaging. I tell him I used to be 45 and 223 on Light Fighter, was my call sign over there. And so I think he had recognized that, he recognized that moniker from that specific forum, and then hit me up and said, "Hey man, do you want to be a moderator on this shit?" And I'm like, "Well, what does it entail? I'm pretty busy. I don't got a lot of time to be, screwing around." And
how much does something like that pay?
Yeah, yeah, herding cats and this and that, the other thing, and so he's like, "Hey, yeah, it's essentially this, and this is so you're going to be." I think it was primary, secondary. Do you remember what was that first? It was
novice. Well, there was professional, there was novice, and yeah, that was it.
So yeah, and so he said, "Hey man, I need help in the novice group. Can you do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can do that. It's good to go." And I'm trying to. I don't think I knew anybody in that group at that time, but whatever. And I mean, like personally, right? Like now I know a bunch of the dudes from PNS. I've met them in person, kind of a thing. And but I remember Chuck from Light Fighter days and knew who he was. And so I always thought highly of Chuck. Thought he was putting out good info and spitting good game. And so anyway, so I agreed to do that. So to come to full circle, I think there's a couple things. A little bit of luck certainly has been involved. Focused effort, no doubt. I mean, it was something I was pursuing, wanting to do because I love the fucking game. I want to. Yeah. I love training dudes and trying to make them better at what on the topics that I'm trying to teach. And then the last thing I think that really helped me blow the fuck up is primary and secondary, man. It just the Facebook exposure was really, really huge. And guys can talk shit about Lanfair and those groups and all that kind of shit all they want to, but I really do owe Matt a lot for helping Tap Rack explode, as well as the other moderators in there, man. It just, it's a group of dudes that are, I think that we within the, yeah, that's the answer, man. It's just basically that. Yep. trying to blow the fuck up, and I think putting out solid information doesn't hurt anything either. But once you get that Facebook following of dudes with the national exposure, then you start to,
well, it's up to you to take advantage of it, which is the next part I want to ask you about. So I would agree, at least the part where you and I kind of went through the same maturity process with the training thing and everything like that. So we kind of, we talked to yesterday, we kind of been on this ride together, as gay as that sound. Anyway, but here's something else I wanted to ask you, right? I think one of the key differences with you versus someone else with your same background, resume, and experience is, and this is going to sound cheesy, but I honestly mean this, is your pursuit of excellence, right? And the thing that I always I requote very few people, right? Because you don't want to be, a nut hanger or anything like that. But one of the classic things that you have always said, whenever like someone on the internet wants to get into this, speed versus accuracy, accuracy versus speed thing. You always come up with one thing. And I think the last thing you said was, look, man, I'm trying to get a point 0.1 draw into a 1 inch square at 100 yards. Until I can do all that, I'm not done.
Right.
Right. So within that statement, it makes so many, it validates so many pursuits and invalidates so many arguments. And you need to make that into a shirt. Anyway, uh, when did when did that pursuit of excellence start? Did it start when you went, look, man, I love this teaching stuff. I think I got a good rap, but I need to substantiate it a little bit more. Or was that pursuit of excellence always there and you just kind of filled in the blanks as you went?
Man, the answer is I don't know. I mean, I think you owe a lot to people that influenced you in your life, right? And so certainly my dad was one of those influencers. He was a command sergeant major in the Army for 32 years. I think that he was I don't think you reach that level of rank and division level sergeant major and all of the things that he achieved unless you're a motivated dude. And so I think he pushed that on me and my brother. All of me, I should say my brother, all of my siblings, my sisters included. My dad was big into sports, and so we played sports. And without this, this is no thing like he beat us or some shit to be better at sports. But his point was always, if you're going to participate in something, then be good at it, right? Don't just be a dude hanging out kind of a thing. Be good, man. And he was always very proud and happy with our successes in a bunch of shit without being a guy that was really in our ass about it. Just more of, I guess, more of a background kind of motivator. So I think that's some of that. Going into the military, my first unit was it was an Op 4 unit at Fort Knox. And I would say that unit was way more lax. It was just more laid back. And although there were some good NCOs there and, guys that I know knew the job, I think because it was a stateside assignment, it was non-wartime, so your peacetime, or it just didn't seem, very motivated about stuff. And so I kind of flat on, I'm not really sure what the fuck this Army thing is about. And then I went to Germany. And I got stationed, or I got sent to the 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment. And at that time, Cold War is in full swing. The border is up between East and West Germany and Czechoslovakia. 2nd ACR has a chunk of that border. 11th ACR, the Black Horse Squadron, gets all the publicity. But 2nd ACR had the entire southern sector of that area. And I remember arriving there, that my troop was at the border when I arrived at the unit. They threw my ass on a truck and took me up to the border. I met the dudes, the initial dudes in my platoon and that kind of thing, and just kind of figure out, and I could feel it instantly. There was a different mindset and pursuit of performance that I hadn't seen in the previous unit. So tracking through there, and I think that the thing, what I figured out later, it wasn't like an epiphany for me at that time as a 20-year-old dumbass, but it was culture. It was the culture of that organization that was the difference, and it was longest at that time with the 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment had the longest standing real world mission since World War II, and that was border security to keep the Russians from coming across and making us all goose step and shit. And I think that just changed it. So I had the NCOs in my platoon were very good. They knew I was a dumbass, which I was. And the whole my job had not been, because I was a Russian on Fort Knox teaching other guys how to fight Russians. Does that make sense? I did my own job, and so I had a lot of catching up to do. And those dudes enforced it and just kind of made me want to be really good. And then the benefits, of course, of putting that effort into anything that you're trying to be good at is going to make you good at it. And then now all of a sudden you're the man. And so then there's the performance of the guys look up to me, the guys expect me to know my shit, so I better know my shit, which forces you even further down that rabbit hole of performance. Does that make sense?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. And so anyway, so I re-enlisted. I came to Fort Lewis, and then I ended up at first Gulf War was over. I get the fuck out, and because I had wanted to be a cop since I was a little kid. I kind of knew that was my gig. So I'm back. I'm from Washington, re-enlisted for a unit of choice. Get out at Fort Lewis and then start the cop job. And I just wanted to be, I think at that point it was in me to be really good at the job or anything that I was doing. So I'm tracking along being I think a decent patrol copper. And then the announcement comes open for SWAT, and I knew I wanted to do that. So submitted for that, got lucky, got on the team. And And then just the dudes that were even on the original standalone team. My city had just a little just part-time team, um, but there were dudes on that team that were very, very professional. One of my greatest mentors in my career, former special forces guy, just very, very focused and driven, and I wanted to be like that guy. So
Hmm.
you start to emulate what you're seeing, right? What you respect, and I respected him, and so drove the hell on with it on the performance side. New team, or the regional team that we ended up becoming in 2000. Missions spike, of course, go through the roof. Service population goes up from, I think at that time our city was 100,000 maybe, to over 500,000. Got a
Mm.
seaport, major airport, way more funding, way more training, way more dudes. Collective think with the chiefs now on that regional team. So rather than having a single chief that is, he doesn't like whatever the heck this thing is with SWAT. Well, the other chiefs could override him now because they don't give a shit about that thing about SWAT. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And so I think it just drove us all to be much, much better. And then I got lucky again with the dudes. We at that time we were selecting team leaders differently than they do now, and it was a team vote, for lack of a better word, that was affirmed by the command group later. Um, but my name ended up getting put on the cards, man. All of a sudden now I'm a team leader in charge of a bunch of dudes, and I think when dudes are expecting you to know your shit, it kind of motivates you to know your fucking shit, man. So I think that some of them are personal. Some of the shit's ingrained as part of my DNA and genetics, just to try and be good at whatever the heck I'm doing. And then some of it, I think, is just being forced into positions where I felt like, I believe in shit like lead by example. I believe in shit like, tactical and technical proficiency if you're the boss. I believe in trying to be the best that I can be for others, not just myself. Does that make
Hmm.
sense? I mean,
Yeah, 100%. Yep,
and
yep.
I think the last bit too, man, is my wife was, yeah, I mean, I've been married almost 30 years now. February will be 30 years for me, and she has always been a driving force in my life on a lot of shit. Very smart lady, very good mother. But even early on, she was like, "Take your serious. Why are you fucking off? Right? I need you to come home. I need your kids need you to come home. So
Hmm.
in order for you to be safe, be good, which is one of my other things, right?
Yeah.
Be fucking good, man. The better you are at the tasks, the more likely it is that you will come home each night, right? It has nothing to do with
Hmm.
being a spaz or fear biting or some of the other shit you see with these cop videos. It's just be fucking good. And so I wanted to be good so that I could continue to live and have a decent career and not overreact to shit and do stupid crap to American citizens and
Yeah.
be there for my fucking family, man. So a lot of things I think have
S-
driven me to
s-
that.
So, so that's the foundation. That's the why,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Let's get into the how. Because here's the thing, right? Anybody who's ever listened to me on social media and all this other stuff knows how, that I have a extreme soft spot for cops, LE, etc. Um, so this comes from my heart, right? When I watch you shoot in the conversations that you and I have, you are in a. I'm not even going to say you're on another level from what I've experienced from other LE. You are in another stratosphere. Okay. Um, and that is, I will tell you, I get surprised more by civilians than I do LE, right? And that's no ding on them. They're
right,
there. I only know them because they're trying there to get better, and God bless them,
right.
right? Uh, but then I watch your shooting, and it is. So I'll just say this, right? Again, I've pissed off enough people on the internet. I don't really give a fuck anymore. But here's the thing, right? I've said this, right? Is unless you have and I'm not trying to push you into your competition background, but I was like saying, unless you have a competition background, I'm not expecting much, right? With the pistol, not with the rifle, with the pistol. Let's just
Right.
be clear about that, right? I'm not saying you're not a good shooter, but I see a lot of shooters. You know what I
Right.
mean? And for somebody that does not regularly compete, right? You are in that highly impressed state with me, whatever the hell I'm trying to say, not putting words together correctly here. Uh, why is that, dude? Why is that? Why are you so? I mean, lack of a better term, dude. Why are you so fucking awesome?
Well, you're hit on a bunch of shit, right? And so I think again, some luck, some focused effort, some other things. And when the agency that I'm working, that I retired from, I picked that agency to test there. I didn't know I was going to get hired, obviously, right? But I picked that agency for a couple of reasons, and it was the size of the organization, the amount of crime that was occurring within the town, because I wanted to be busy, right? I mean, you're a cop, you want to arrest criminals. I would hope that would be the case, right?
Right.
I want to arrest crooks, so I need a place where there's some fucking crooks to go do that. So looked at that shit. What is the command structure like? All the crap you would do looking at any new business or place that you want to go work, right? So,
Yep.
and it looks like, okay, it looks like I would fit in here and it would meet my needs, right? Suit my needs. What I didn't know was that organization favors the gun like very few organizations do.
Mm.
And I think it's probably because we had our own indoor range on site that you could access 24/7, which is unheard of a lot in law enforcement. Right? I mean, there's a lot of more organizations than not do not have their own live fire facility. They contract out or use another organization, something like that. And so I think that helped. Um, I think that, again, this mentor guy I was talking about, who was our range master at the time, he had done a really, really good job of figuring out how budgets work within the organization, and doing math and being logical and presenting good arguments and sound reasoning to our command group to say, I need more than 10 bullets every year, guys, to train this organization to be good in shootings. And I think he did a really good job, rather than what a lot of cops do. What I see is, well, don't, you have civil liability. We have civil liability. We have liability. The organization is going to pay out the ass, and they'll try to scare command staff into supporting something under the auspice that Scott Jedlinski is going to do some dumb shit if we don't get him
Yeah.
trained, right?
Right.
They'll also, with officer safety, right, and try to scare command staff into supporting something, because if we don't do this, then Scott Jedlinski is going to end up dead on the street, and that's going to be your fault, boss, because you didn't support this thing. And I think this guy recognized, and that is not the way to do it. The way to do it is there is civil liability, so to reduce it, right, and to make our citizens of the town that we have sworn to serve and protect, um, to give them the best product for their money. This is what it should look like coming out the back end, specific to firearms. Does that make, and it
Yeah.
sounds the same,
Yeah.
but it's different, right? I mean, if you pay me for a sandwich and I get a piece of bologna and two pieces of Wonder Bread and hand that to you, and the next guy's got a hoagie roll and all kinds of meats and veggies and cheese and shit on it, and they cost the same, which of those two sandwiches do you want to motherfucking eat?
Exactly. Or sometimes the logic is like, hey, if we make a shitty sandwich, no one's going to buy it, so we won't get any complaints.
Right. That is a great analogy, right? And so, because of that, our ammo storage area is always packed to the gills, floor to ceiling, and there's no restriction. You can shoot until you're knee deep in brass every single day of the week if you want to,
That's awesome.
with no restriction at all. Now, no one's ever done that, right? And if they did, I imagine at some point, it'd be, hey man, leave some for the rest of the fellas, right? I mean,
Right.
but no one's gotten there. And brother, I've tried to get there, right? And so once I got on the range staff, that gave me access to the range, right? So I have a key to get in there, let the fellas shoot, do what I need to do. And I was a longtime graveyard guy. So graveyard typically in my city, at least, other guys may have variances, but usually around 0300, 3 o'clock in the morning, activity starts to die the fuck off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of in that waning period where you're out, actively looking for dudes that, vehicle prowlers and other crap, those kind of late night criminal dudes, but calls for service certainly die off because everybody's the fuck asleep, right? They can't call 911 because they're sleeping. And so you'll get usually between 3 and say 5:30, 6 o'clock morning commute starts to happen. So you're getting some collisions and other bullshit that you got to go to. People are waking up and finding their cars that did get broken into during the night, whatever the fuck, right? So you get some activity, but you usually get about a couple of hours of shooting. If you can manage your time. And so I would really hustle up and try to get all my paper squared the fuck away, get that submitted to Sarge, and essentially be done. I'm just standing by for the morning calls.
Mm-hmm.
And I just go in the range, fucking shoot for 2 hours, right? Just every day. I mean, 4 days a week, pop, 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 a couple hours shooting. I'm also then submitting to different training. I'm going to all LE based firearms classes at this point.
Yeah.
Which are, there's value in them, but they're not optimal. Does that make sense? It's just
Well, reps are reps. right?
Yeah.
What you do with them is subjective, right?
So reps are indeed reps, right? And I guess the physical act of this was getting accomplished, but a lot of the manipulations and stress and effort in the right spots, I think, was minimal, right?
Sure.
Cops are very much about you. I'm going to give you as an example, right? The target's at 5 yards. I'm going to give you, this is not anybody's course, totally pulling this out of my ass example. I'm going to give you 6 seconds to draw and fire 4 rounds to the center of mass of this large humanoid looking target, right? Now your full value zone is this, and then you have the blah, blah. But as long as you keep on the motherfucker, you're probably going to be able to pass, right?
Yeah.
And so, pop, 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 all that shit's going on. And you're killing the 6 seconds kind of a deal, right? And that's easy. But within that, then there's no way for me to figure out, did my draw take 5 seconds and I fired all 4 rounds in one, or was it the opposite? Does that make sense? I got the gun at 1 second, but I'm so slow on the trigger. What the fuck is happening in here? And there was no emphasis on that at all. Even in my own organization, it was, just past the qualification. And then of course we would shoot shit, but it was more about the accuracy, which is not a bad thing, without any reference of speed, though, which I think is the bad thing, right? So I'm the internet is now out there. So, newsflash, kids, that shit wasn't around my entire career, just so you know. The internet's out there, and so I'm now. So, what do you mean I can search for gun classes and shit like that kind of a deal? And so I find, of course, some gun forums like we had talked about and different things. And I'm starting to now hear about dudes like Larry Vickers and some other prominent trainers at that point that were outside of this law enforcement specific shit that I had been to. And one of those dudes was Todd Green. And so I'm reading about Todd Green, and at that point you couldn't post videos and shit, right? It was that was way too much bandwidth to even put a video on there.
Yeah.
But he's putting out these, I'm reading some shit, and he's talking about drills that he's doing with times and distances. And I'm like, well, fine, I'm going to go try that. Right? I'm going to go try that, right? And I find myself severely fucking lacking, right? What the fuck is happening here? And to a point, honestly, Scott, where I thought, this guy is full of shit, right? This is bullshit. And then I started going, oh, well, he's just a gamer. And I started to make excuses for my lack of skill based on the fact that he is a game shooter and I'm a real tactical man on the street, right?
Yeah. Look at that idiot. His gun's pointed at his dick.
Yeah, I don't think I thought that because I'd been carrying a J-frame appendix for a long time before I even knew.
All right.
Yeah. But anyway, so I see that he is teaching a class and it is local to me, right? So I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm going to submit for this thing and put it in there. And the funny thing is, so I submit this shit, goes up. Of course, there'd be, bureaucratic red tape of training requests going up, chain of command. And my sergeant's like, who the fuck is this guy? And I'm like, he's some dude from fucking back east, man. He's, he was I forget what Beretta factory guy or what was
by trade, he was an attorney, right?
Okay.
And for a while, he actually worked for the U.S. Attorney's Office, but then got into the industry for Beretta. Yeah.
Beretta, that's right. So, I knew that, whatever his gun, I said, he's a factory guy, blah, blah, blah. And so they're like, okay, hits the next level. Who the fuck is this guy? And I'm like, hey, this is what the fuck he does, and on and on and on up the chain. Because nobody had ever heard of fucking Todd because he's not a cop-based shooting, he's not a cop-based trainer. I go to, I'm wearing my tack rig, right? I'm wearing SWAT gear because that's the shit that I'm working.
Train like you fight, bro.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I get up there, and Scott didn't care. He didn't belittle me or none of that. And this is first class that I almost positive first class I'd been in with just Joe Citizen. I'm trying to think. I may have been the only cop in that class now that I think about it. But anyway, so we're working and guys are drawing from concealment and they're doing what they do, right? And different types of guns, different types of holsters. Guys are there for different reasons, all meaning like for me, it's a professional thing. I'm trying to get better as a gun handler, as a cop. Other guys, they're weekend competition guys. Other guys are, trying to somehow turn shooting into a profession. Some industry guys there too, right? Just trying to see how's their gear shaking out in this class. But I went through that class, and I thought Todd was a very good instructor. I know he gets mixed reviews on the interwebs. I don't give a fuck. I always liked the guy and thought he was dynamite. And so One of the things was the emphasis on getting that gun out and getting that first round out of the pistol into at that point, what I thought was a very stringent scoring zone. Does that make sense? I was used to anywhere on the Frankenstein target um, and getting something for it, right?
Yeah,
Getting
yeah.
some
Well,
value for
hell,
it.
some departments, if you miss the cue and hit paper, you still get 3 points.
Sweet Jesus. But anyway, so the accuracy piece was there, right? I mean, I could definitely pull a trigger straight to the rear, and I
Yep.
spent a whole lot of time doing the Danny Glover thing at 25, and wow, look at that. But doing it at speed was a completely different duck, and I think Todd was very. I thought he was, he was patient with me as well as other guys, but he did a lot of individual coaching with me in that class, which I thought was dynamite.
Mhm.
The emphasis on controlling the gun. And I remember that he was the first guy that told me I could actually track my iron sight under recoil and see it as long as I held onto the gun properly and did my tap and actually looked for it, which was another
Yep.
thing, right? Be amazed what you'll see when you actually open your fucking eyes.
Yeah.
But that first day I'm going through there and the gun's recoiling is doing something, and I'm thinking, fuck this guy. This is bullshit. No one can see their front sight under recoil. It's moving way too goddamn fast. Right, he's doing the shit that I already knew about with shootings, where your mind it'll edit in the pieces of the video
Yeah.
that's missing, and so he is doing that with this. Um, the halfway through the second day, all of a sudden I'm pop pop pop, and I'm like, what the fuck is that thing that's hanging out? That's the front sight, right? Um, and so I think that class exposed. So we end up shooting the fast drill, the fire. What is it called? The firearm aptitude skills test.
uh, uh, Fast is the fundamentals of accuracy and speed test.
There you go, whatever the fuck it is. And so, he explains what that is. I'm assuming all of your viewers would know what that is. If you don't, go Google the motherfucker for shit's sake.
Yep.
It's a goddamn candy house. But anyway, so we do the thing, and I have been improving over the course of 2 days, right? I'm trying very hard to apply what he has shown us. And I'm no boner novice, right? I mean, I can handle a pistol safely and do some shit at this point. It's not like the shittiest pistol shooter ever, but I'm applying this shit. And so I hit, I think Todd only gave you one opportunity, right?
For the fast? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's my turn. I step the fuck up and I come out and hit that thing. And I've done a couple of things that were epiphanies for me in the train up to this. But I end up shooting I think it was, well, I don't know. I'm on his wall. So that class I had the fastest run, whatever the fuck it ended up being. I don't remember.
Oh, yeah. It had been 7 or less.
Yeah, oh yeah, I was definitely under the under 7 club.
For the first time you've shot it, you got
No,
7 or under?
yeah. So we were shot during the course. You know what I mean? There was and portions of it. I mean,
Yeah, but under stress, under the shot time, the first time you shot it, completely.
No, I think he had buzzed this, but this is the run
Okay.
for the coin. This is
Gotcha.
the run for the coin. You know what I mean?
Sure.
This is the coin run. And so
Never heard of the drill before the class, though.
right, never even didn't even know what the fuck fast was. And I think I ran a 5.12.
Oh shit.
But don't quote me. Look on his, how he's got that deal on his website that lists all the previous classes and who was fast.
Yeah.
But that was like crazy fast compared to all of the train up runs that I had done. I was not expecting that at all. So come out, and I remember thinking to myself, just make the hits, Don't worry about the time, make the hits, right? And just do that as fast as you can. So I shoot it, and in my brain, I'm going, that was a good one. My reload came together real clean. I could see the side, everything was solid. And then he tells me 5.12. And I remember the way he said it, 5.12, standing next to me, that he was impressed. Not that he was impressed with that time. He was impressed with the improvement that I'd made in 2 days to get that time. You know what I mean?
It's actually all the above, dude.
Yeah. And so anyway, that was the exposure to the competition side of shooting. So I guess I'd kind of caught the bug a little bit. And so I was looking for what other classes are out there that law enforcement has told me will get me killed in the streets. And so I started checking out other courses along that line. So, I mean, Bob Vogel, Frank Proctor, Bob, ad nauseum, all these dudes that are shooting very fast, very accurate, all of them telling me the same things, that one without the other is stupid. You're leaving half your game on the table if you're not working one versus the other. All of the bullshit about, that'll get you killed on the streets is a fucking red herring. You're throwing a flag up to compensate your lack of performance or lack of desire to get better. And then I started shooting some competition, mainly because dude said you got to shoot competition, you got to shoot competition, right? The buzzer, the stress of the buzzer, blah blah blah, all that kind of crap. People watching you, and so I wanted to go experience that and say, okay, well, let me see what this is about. And I'll be honest with you, I never felt like competition stressed me the fuck out. Does that make sense? I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
here's the stage. Do my shit. My turn. I step up and going through my make ready process, and just in my head, I'd be taking some breaths and going. And I always just said to myself, just shoot it clean, man. Just shoot it clean.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot it. And so I would shoot it clean, and to see what the end of times look like. Probably why I wasn't very competitive in competition, because I was more about I wanted to make my hits quickly. But I mean, you drive on.
But you got out what you wanted to get out of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got the exposure to it. I got to see some shit. I got to meet some cool dudes. I think I got one more, life fucking lesson that all citizens don't run around going cops suck with guns and you guys are horrible. And everybody was very very helpful to me and
Mm-hmm.
teaching me the rules and blah blah blah. The first one I went to was an IDPA match.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I gravitated there because you could wear your cop shit, right? If
Yep.
they have their little law enforcement division or whatever the fuck it's called. And so I'll wear my duty shit. And at that time, I was my full-time job was SWAT as the team's training coordinator. So my duty gear was my SWAT belt. So I took that to the competition on a Saturday. So I step up, it's a drop rig, fucking I got flashbangs hanging on this bitch, rifle magazines attached to it.
Ah.
So like, what the fuck is this shit, man, coming at me, kind of a thing. And so after that, I quit bringing flashbangs and everything to competition. But yeah, it was. I think that is something missing, and it is weird, man. So my TAC pistol class has a lot of that in it, right? Just
Yeah.
here's some competition shit that you probably ain't learned yet at the academy. Sure as shit don't endorse this, and I know I've opened a lot of eyes. Whether guys have picked up the material and continue to work it or not, but if nothing else, the philosophy of both things being very important, I think it's ingrained in dudes. So there's that. I do make this point to dudes, man, and that is, as a cop, depending on why you became a cop, and people become cops for a lot of different reasons, right? I mean, I wanted to arrest every rapist on the planet. I don't know why
Yep.
that crime pisses me off, but it just does. I think it's the bully aspect of it. It's the degrading
Mm-hmm.
of humans. It just pisses me the fuck off. And so it's odd that I never became worked rapes or became a person's detective to work. I mean, it just didn't transpire, right? The other parts of the job grabbed me and made me interested in the shooting and tactics piece more. And so, you know, a dude might not be very good with a handgun. He's definitely meeting a department qualification standard, whatever that the fuck is. Otherwise, he couldn't be carrying the gun. But that guy might be the bestest rape detective on the
Sure.
planet. The guy that if one of your loved ones were the victim of that crime, you damn sure don't want me coming in with my rape investigation skills versus that dude. Does that make sense? So
Right.
all
Yep.
of the focus and effort I have put into guns and tactics, that guy's been focusing on how the fuck do I catch crooks specific to this crime. You know what I mean? There
Yeah.
are coppers that are very, very specific about I'm going to be a canine guy, and my dogs are going to catch crooks and do everything good.
Yeah.
And so because they're focusing so much effort into that, they're not that concerned about the gun piece. So of course they're not going to shoot as good as me when I'm putting effort into it. So that's
Yeah.
a thing to consider, right? There's also a breadth and width of there's a I mean there is an argument to be had. My job as a SWAT team leader required this much shooting.
Mm-hmm.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
There was a whole lot of stuff about leadership and management and mission planning and decision making and all of these other things that I had to try to be good at. Um, and so some of those things will affect some cops. The other thing that'll affect some cops is if there are organizations that give you exactly 50 bullets a month, right? You get a box of bullets,
Yeah.
but it's and they has to go get them, and you always seem to get ration of shit, and then you got nowhere to shoot the motherfuckers. You got to go figure that out for yourself. There are places that won't give you any specific allocation. You just have to beg for every bullet they're going to give you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so I hear guys, well, that's bullshit. You're a professional carrying a gun. You should be shooting on your own time and buying your own bullets. And I agree to that to some degree. But I recall brand new cop Blowers with a non-working wife and three children
Yeah.
uh, at brand new guy wages, and I don't think I could afford a bullet. Does that make sense? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
to
I
my
get it.
finances in order, and do all of that crap. So if the organization wasn't giving me a place to shoot and some free ammunition, then my start on the shooting path would have been delayed until I would have gotten financially stable enough to buy my own ammunition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%, man. It all has to fall in line, and you have to decide. There are things about life. I mean, you got to eat,
That
right? You got
yeah.
to eat, or you're done. People ask me all the time, like, "Well, dude, how did you get so good so fast?" Because this shit happens overnight, right? I tell like, look, I have certain advantages, man. Bev and I, we were never blessed with kids, so we have a lot of that. We have a lot of free time because of that. I live in, Metro DC, where there's a whole bunch of retired face shooters out here giving classes, and I live 5 minutes away from an indoor range.
Right.
So there's no planning. It's like, I got 15 minutes. I'm going to go shoot. I'm going to try this out. I'm going to try this out, right? And I'm hyper competitive, so it all kind of worked out. But if your closest range is 2 hours away, right, and Walmart, where you're going to pick up your Winchester white boxes in the other direction, I get it. I get it. Let's look for other ways, right? Or take a class with Bill, take a class with me, because we've done all that hard work. It'll shorten the learning curve
Right.
very quickly, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Um, Getting back to the luck thing, man, when you were competing didn't you have the opportunity to shoot a lot with Nils Jonasson?
Not a lot. So
But
when I
But you
shot,
were kind of mates, right? You were kind of shooting mates there for a while.
no.
No, okay.
No, I think you're so my only exposure to him was at the 2013 Washington State IDPA Championship.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Hills was part of the Blade Tech shooting team, and
Okay.
so I end up getting squatted. Just luck, just happenstance again luck, right? Some
Yeah.
shit just pops up with that team, and I forget the dude, the kind of the PR guy, whatever the hell he was, who was not shooting at the level of Nils or the other guy. It was a young guy. I think his name was Cody. But those two dudes were the actual stars. This other guy could shoot very well, and he ended up being in my. I was not in Nils' division, and I was not in this Cody guy's division. We're shooting
Mm-hmm.
in divisions. This third guy, Brett. I don't remember exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We were shooting the same division, and so I ended up winning my division that year at the state championship in that squad. But there was a couple of interesting things. Number one is the dude whose name I can't remember now. There was a stage that I had come in with my pistol and a single mag pouch, and there was a stage in there that required 2 magazine exchanges, and I didn't for whatever reason I hadn't experienced that yet in IDPA, so I didn't have the gear, and so Blade Tech dude was like, "Here, man, use my shit." And it's funny because he was number 2 in the division.
Okay. Yeah.
and uh and so I remember telling him, I said, dude, if you would not have loaned me that pouch, that would have required me to pocket load, and I know that would have cost me a little bit of time, which would then have made him win the division. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was funny shit, and so I think the sportsmanship and camaraderie and all that crap of
Yeah.
him to do that for me was solid. The interesting thing about Niels, and I think what you're referring to when I'm bringing it up, was listening. So I mean, this is my first year shooting competition of any kind, right? And so as we're hitting these different stages, and obviously the state competition is more elaborate than the local club matches, right? As far as what they have for props and other thing. And so we're walking through, and they tell us about the shit. My initial thing is I'm just, whatever. I go meet up with Scott. Scott will tell you about the stage. You plan your stage and then shoot your stage. And so I'm doing that on stage 1. All right. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and this is going to go, and this will go here, and whatever. Okay, ready? Yep. Stand by beat. Pow, 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 do my shit, and I get a pretty good run, and I'm feeling happy with it. And then I watch Niels. Now Niels is a far better shooter than me.
Well, I'm best part of the best in the world, dude.
Yeah,
He's arguably top 10
easy,
best in the world.
easy, right? And so then I watch him shoot it. Now a chunk of this is I'm watching because he is an amazing shooter, and I like watching guys that are kicking ass like that, right? But he also runs the stage completely different than me as far as target order and this and that. And that makes me kind of go, I bet you there's something to this, right? This is the strategy of this fucking shit. It ain't just shooting shit straight, right?
Yeah.
How you do it also matters on the timing side of it. And so then I watch the other 2 dudes shoot it, and they shoot it in the exact same way that Nils did. So and I get crushed, right? So we're moving to the next stage, And as I'm walking around, I'm going, I think I'm going to try to sneak over and listen to what these motherfuckers are talking about, right? So
Yeah.
I do the sneak up from behind trick, right? And pretend like I'm looking at my phone or some bullshit, but I'm listening to their conversation about the stage. Um, and they're blah, 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 blah. And it's in my head, they're doing things different than I would do it, right? And so I interject and go, wait, man, why are you doing it that way instead of this? And they all look at me like, who the fuck is this dickhead, right?
But he got flashbangs on him. We need to listen to him.
Yeah. So, but very, very personal dudes are like, hey, man, this is why we're doing it this way. And, this kind of makes sense to us. And they kept saying, but be careful, right? I'm shooting it this way, but this is a very tight target exposure. So if you don't think you have the skill to hit it in that time, then you're going to lose all of the points versus if you go this route and it's safer, to get a target, blah, 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 blah. And so for the rest of that competition, the 2-day competition, I just kept talking those in, and I think probably I think that they appreciated that a cop was shooting competition. They appreciated that I had some level of skill at that point. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't think they were ever snubbing their noses at me or any of that kind of bullshit. Just very, very personal, nice fellows, and I think they did a lot to teach me how to do stage management type of shit, and both and all of them were funny fucking dudes too. They're just good dudes to yuck it up with and shit. So, So anyway, he at one stage, it was a weird kind of a hoo hoo, right? So all these targets are down. You hit a stomp plate, and then it would go one, two, three, right? But they were rapid, just bang, 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 bang. And so they were like, you get no penalties, man. Just put them bitches out there, right? And try and see what you can hit on it. And so it's my turn. I'm going to run this stage first, right? It's just the draw of that particular.
Yep.
And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to do the best I can with that. And let's just see how the fuck it goes, right? So stomp the thing out. They start flipping. And pop, 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 pop. Well, some skill, but again, a little bit of luck. And I get all A zone hits, and my time is pretty good. And so they're scoring it out, and the dude running that stage, he goes, man, that's the fastest anybody has run this stage so far, right? A day and a half into the state match. I'm like, fuck yeah, right? And so I start talking shit, suck it, motherfuckers, right? So Nils runs, and he immediately crushes my time, right? So the little dude running the stage goes, well, that didn't last long. Now that is the fastest time I've seen. Fucker, right? But yeah, but that's been the case with a lot of the dudes, man. Bob Vogel, very, very good guy. I think maybe the cop connection helped me talk to Vogel a little bit more. You know what I mean? So,
Sure.
That commonality, I think that, he's a very down to earth guy for the guys that have met him. So that certainly doesn't hurt nothing. I think he is adamant that what he is doing is best, obviously, for him, but he's not rigid either. You know what I mean? If you want to do the pinky finger out, and you're able to perform at the same level as him or higher, then he's going to tell you then do that, dude. You know what I mean? Just do it, man. Very, very good dudes, man. Well, shit. Conversations you and I have had about shooting. It's just, there's the best guys are the humble guys, right? It's not like there's ego attached to shit. We're just discussing how do we get better, man? How do you get better? And I really, really dig that about instructors I've gone to. And dudes that kind of have that mindset, man. You can be on the best on the planet, but somebody's nipping at your heels, bro. They're coming for you. So don't be
Well, and that's always the thing, man. Because one of the things that I've always found with very good, great shooters like yourself is that we're not afraid to get our shit pushed in. We're actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of sounds weird phrasing, but it's like, man, I'm here, I'm doing this. This is my drill. That's my jam. Someone comes along that pushes your shit in, and you're like, oh, thank baby Jesus. Now I got something to learn. What's the nuance, man? You start breaking it down from a technical aspect, and then you're like, that's awesome. And then it's on to the next epiphany. If you're the super grand champ of your department or your local match or your steel shoot at your range, and you're winning all the time, you need to get to the next train, man, because you're not going to get better. And I will argue you will start to degrade.
Yep.
You will start to degrade.
The big fish in the small pond, you're a dime a dozen. You're a dime a dozen. And once you get out of that little pond, you will see that you ain't as good as you think you are.
Yep, 100%.
I want to see
All right, brother. Yep. All right, brother. We've been on for about 55 minutes here. We're going to go to the last segment, man, which is the get it off your chest segment, right? So whatever you want to talk about, it could be about, anything to do with what we've been talking about. Don't talk about your neighbors, right? Nobody cares.
Right.
But, anything to do with uh, law enforcement, shooting in general, hosting, students, whatever, man, whatever you want to, that if people started doing this, they'd
Right.
get better. Or if they fucking stopped doing this, they'd get better. Right. So
Right.
land on me, man.
So excuses. I'm going to do two things real quick, man. I know you're trying to keep this about an hour. So the first thing is I hate that and they may have changed now, but the State Police Academy Instructor School, Firearm Instructor School tells those guys they should never demo in front of students because if they get a miss, they lose all credibility. And so don't ever shoot in front of a student. And I always thought, man, how dumb is that, right? You can't demo your shit on demand. Then you should be teaching the shit, right? And I'm a human, right? So if I do miss in front of students, I think there's a learning point there. Let's talk about what it is. And then the last piece is sometimes I'll miss and guys go, what happened there? And I'll be like, I don't fucking know, man. Shit felt good. Sights look good. I don't know what the fuck happened.
It's the ammo.
Yeah. Wind, the sun. You know what I mean? Sometimes shit fucking happens, bro. And when things are happening very quickly, I've absolutely had shots where I can't call. I'm like, where'd that thing come from? And I'm not going to blame ammo or the gun or anything else. It's me. I did something weird with the fucking pistol. And so that's sometimes just being a human, man. So don't be afraid to fucking miss. I tell all my classes, here are things that you'll definitely see in the next couple of days. You're going to see me miss. You're going to see me flub a draw. You're going to see me fuck up a reload. You're going to see me do all kinds of mistakes with the pistol because I'm fucking human. And so get over it. No one here cares if you do the same thing. I don't give a fuck about your failures. I give a fuck about your successes. Just recognize you're going to give failures and drive the fuck on from them. And who cares? No one cares. That's it. I care, right? I care about my own mistakes and what can I glean from them and get improved. But quit being afraid to get on performance. So for guys that are worried about, man, my pistol skill ain't where it should be. I don't want to go to a class. I'll be embarrassed. Dude, if you can safely handle a pistol, there's not an instructor in America that won't allow you in their class. Be safe. Even if it takes you 6 seconds to draw and fire that first round, if that's an improvement over 8 seconds at the start of class, then success has been accomplished. So come out and train, man. Come out and fucking train.
Yeah, because you're gonna make our job easy because we'll get you down there really quick, man.
Real quick.
It's the dude with the 1-1 that wants to get to 8-5. We were like, all right, we got to get to.
Yeah. So there's that, and then lately for whatever reason, man, it's just, and I did an experiment with this shit to some degree. The negativity on social media has to end, man. It's really starting to get me down, bro. And I did an experiment with a friend of mine. You know him. I won't say who it is right now, but we were just talking about something, just dudes popping off with just dumb shit and really irrelevant to the conversation at hand. You know what I mean? It's just, it's like there's a culture on Facebook within our industry of shooting and tactics where it's like you have to be a naysayer. You have to put something negative on a fucking post. And so we were talking about this, and I said, dude, I'm going to post a picture right now of something. And I don't recall what the fuck it was. It might have just been a gun. But I'm going to post a picture of a gun and just say, new Jed Linsky.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And I said, I'll bet you within 15 minutes, somebody who's never touched one, shot one, done anything with one of these will pop off with some negative fucking comment. And it didn't last 7 seconds. I mean, I posted that bitch. And I think the very first comment was, "Oh, they've been making crap for years."
Was it the Beretta APX?
It might have been.
It was the Beretta APX. Yeah.
Right. They've been making crap for years, or that's the ugliest gun on the planet, or what the fuck were they thinking with those front, slide serrations or whatever the fuck it was, and it kind of proved my point, right? And I just wish dudes would stop. You know what I mean? And to some degree, your opinion is not always asked for, so shut the fuck up, right? I think the way I was raised, and that is, if you got nothing good to say, then don't say anything at all, right? Mm-hmm. So shut the fuck up. If an opinion is asked for, I think it can be worded without being controversial or confrontational, I should say, rather than controversial. So me and you never met, right? And now we meet, and you're wearing that Victo shirt. I wouldn't walk up to you and go, "Victo sucks, bro." They fuck those guys. Who do that? You know what I mean?
Beat the internet.
The internet does it that way, right?
The internet. It's like, I bought a shirt, man. There was a thread loose. I'm like, I'm what? Huh?
Right? And so I've never met you, and we're at a party, and I see you wearing the Victos shirt, and I overhear the conversation that you're telling the guy that Victos is cool shit. I don't come interjecting your conversation. I've never met you say, "Yeah, fuck Victos. Their boots broke on me." Right? That is, I'm not talking about their boots. I'm talking about the T-shirt. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Nobody does that in real life, and so then even if me, hey Scott, Bill Scott, good to meet you. This and that, the other thing. my my first shit to you about Victos, because I can see you're wearing the shirt. I'm just using that as an example, of
Yeah.
course. And I'm gonna change that. I must pick on Boresight Solutions. Now you got that cap on, right? So my first thing to you is, man, Boresight Solutions fucking sucks, bro. Right? And now you go, well, have you ever used their shit? And I go, no, but fuck you, man.
Yeah.
No one does that because what is the on all of those examples? What would
Yeah.
happen in real life?
I'd probably get knocked out, or at least
Well,
pretty close to it.
you might get knocked out, right? But you're damn sure going to be labeled a dickhead. You don't get to hide behind
Exactly.
your screen. You're in person. All of the normal social norms go the fuck out the window of social media. And so we do say, well, the industry and this and that. I think dude, you're part of the industry, right? If you're on Facebook being that dickhead, then you're
Yeah.
making the industry be an industry full of dickheads. You're making the industry be an industry full of cynicism. You're making the industry not want to be innovative, right? Since we talked
Right.
about the APX, I don't care if the APX is, guess what, man? In 1986, the first Glock that came out when it was a 1911 world, guess what everybody said about the Glock?
Mm-hmm.
That's the ugliest fucking pistol I've ever seen.
All right. Get you. It'll get you through a metal detector, though.
Yeah. Which was, I go, okay, more social media dumb shit, right? Just like, but now, I mean, no one looks at a Glock and goes, that thing's ugly. That's just, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And so if the APX is a wonder pistol, then perhaps 15 years from now, everybody will just look at the APX and think it is what the fuck it is, right? No one's
Yeah.
going to care if it's ugly anymore. If it's shooting X rings and it's, it's a good pistol. Um, and I don't think, I mean, the APX is a perfectly acceptable duty pistol for 99% of cops. I mean, that's what I'll say about that pistol. It's reliable, it
Right.
goes bang every time. It's perfectly acceptable in that role. It's probably a perfectly acceptable self-defense pistol for most shooters. Is it a
Right.
competition pistol? No. Is it a pistol that you can do a bunch of different, aftermarket changes to? The answer is no. It's not. That doesn't exist yet. But that doesn't mean the pistol sucks. The pistol shoots. The pistol does
Yep.
fine.
Pistol's fine.
Yeah.
And it's actually so when I shot Caleb's when he came to my class in Miami, the only thing I would have done to that gun, actually he did do it, change out the recoil spring to a 13 pound. Thing was glorious.
Yep. Yep.
Thing,
Yep.
thing was glorious. Like wow, those side cut things, my thumb drags up against them. Well, loosen up your goddamn thumbs, man. They don't do shit anyway. or even lately, dude, with the fucking I am gonna have to label this. I always think of titles as we're going through, right? Definitely would be included in this for both of us is asterisk NSFW asterisk.
Yeah. 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 For sure.
uh, but lately with the Walther, right? The
Yeah.
SF match that just came out. Ah, it's so fucking heavy, blah blah blah. It's like okay, so that statement right now is that you don't understand how guns work.
Right.
Right?
Or, nor have you done the whole. So I kept the gun. That gun to me, put it in my hand. I was like, Jesus. And I shot a lot, almost every handgun out there. I've had an opportunity to shoot most, if not all of them. And I
Yeah.
haven't been all, but a lot of guns. And I'm shooting Glocks for a lot of reasons. Primarily LE pistol, started with that, the ability to aftermarket, change shit out, blah, 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 right? Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't love Glock. It just happens to be a gun
It's
I'm
easy,
shooting.
dude. When you get a replacement part at fucking
Yeah. I mean,
7-Eleven, what what the hell?
exactly. Exactly. And holster support and all of the
Yeah.
other bullshit, right? So, um, that so again, high end 1911s, CZ Shadow 2s, all kinds of different guns have been in my hands, and I've shot them and thought, oh, okay, that's a good gun, it's a good gun, it's a good gun, good gun, good gun. For whatever reason, that Q5, when I put it in my hand, it's like Walter said, hey, Blower, send us a Clado model of your hand.
Yeah.
And it was instant. I felt electricity buzzing in that thing. I'm like, holy shit, it's like an alien artifact, right? It's like, it will fucking be better. I'm like,
Dude, you
Jesus
said it was
Christ.
Molinar, man. It was Thor's hammer.
I started hitting this thing a little bit, and I'm pulling the trigger. I'm like, and I remember turning to Brett and saying, God, I said, "What, dude? What is this? What's the weight on this trigger?" So I'm thinking, I can't use this. I can't use it for what I teach because I'm oriented toward law enforcement, right? And so there's restrictions on trigger weights. He goes, it's 5.6 pounds. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
right? I mean, it feels lighter than that. So I'm starting to blaze, right? It's like the finger of God. Ja, 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 fuck yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah. And so the range we were on was only 15 yards deep. So I send this the target out to 15 yards, and the sights were up. It had an optic on it, but it wasn't zero. No big deal, right? So I'm just putting in the same spot, pop, 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 and I put 8 rounds through the same hole at 15 yards. Now that I mean,
Good Lord.
well, I mean, I think I can shoot pretty good, but I can't do that with my Glocks, right? Or at least I haven't been able to do it yet. And I mean, I've got maybe 100 rounds of this fucking thing, and it's doing this for me. It immediately enamored, dude. I was like, dude, I must have one of these.
Yeah.
Deal. So I think it's a great gun. But anyway, so I oh, that thing is so fucking heavy, blah, blah, blah. So I look, and a CZ Shadow 2 is 5 ounces heavier.
Yeah.
But who's bitching about the CZ's weight? Nobody, because it's become an accepted norm, right? The CZs are just great guns, and guys are crushing with them and having a good time with them, and everybody, they just accept it. And this gun is lighter, but because it's the new thing,
Yeah.
let's be negative and try to come up with something. Look at
And they're
those.
afraid. And they're afraid Noner's going to slap them in the back of the head if they say something,
Yeah.
which he probably would, and he should. But yeah.
I don't think Norman would give a fuck if we got a brother Walther, right? But it's heavy. Look at those stupid cuts. Walther has been known for crap for years. It's got that stupid thin blue line trigger. I mean, dude, can you just stop it with the negativity, right? If you don't like the gun, then don't say nothing about it.
Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up and keep scrolling, bro. Keep scrolling. Yeah, you don't need to come in and be the negative contrarian expert on Facebook and Instagram. Keep moving. Move along. Move along. Move along.
Yeah, I almost posted on there this there's a local father daughter they shoot USPS out here, and she shoots a 2011 open gun, and she is 9.
Oh, badass.
Yeah, and that gun weighs close to 50 ounces. So keep on scrolling. Eventually the Planet Fitness banner will pop up. $1 to join, $10 a month. Go get you some gains. Go get you some gains.
Let's plug, man. Planet Fitness banner will be on your podcast now, dude.
Dude, that's what it is. I am accepting sponsorships for the podcast. I don't care. Anyway,
you know what I'm saying, though, right? Just
100%, dude.
It's just constant on Facebook, man. It's just, I think part of what drove me away from primary or secondary level, it was just that, man. It was just, man, I'm just tired. And on both sides of that fence, by the way. I'm not casting fingers at the members of PNS. I'm casting the finger at everybody involved. And I think that's, part of just being a bigger thingamajig, man. Just everybody needs to calm the fuck down a little bit sometimes and just discuss shit. And I think we're going. The Facebook forum isn't very easy to search, right? So, hey guys, have you tried the Overwatch Precision Trigger for Glock? Yes, we have. It's a great trigger. Blah 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 blah. Now a month later, hey guys, I'm new to the forum. Anybody tried that Overwatch Precision Glock trigger? Yes, we tried it. It's good to go. Blah 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 blah. Right, and so forth and so on. As you gain more members, they're not going to scroll through all of the old bullshit. They're going to ask their questions
if they can find it.
Yeah, just answer it. Or as a mod, fucking find it for them and then link them to it. Yeah, whatever. Just. Anyway, we don't need to be dicks to each other, man. Let's all just get the fuck along.
Yeah, there it is, brother. There it is. Awesome, man. So where can people find you? Give it to us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, your website, where you're going to be next. Yeah, man, kick down. Where are you going to be?
So the next class schedule is I was supposed to do a designated marksman class in Houston. This is for patrol guys, low-powered variable optics. Not a sniper course at all. It's just integrating the patrol carbine either with a magnified scope or a 308 with a magnified scope or a magnifier, and then adding that additional duty. But they've still got to do all the normal cop shit. So it's not a sniper class at all. But it looks like that class is going to get postponed out to June due to low enrollment at this point. Mm-hmm. I got supposed to be doing a carbine class in Homestead, Florida for first part of February. I got a SWAT team leader class in February. All that shit's on the calendar on my website, www.tap-rack.com. Go there, click upper right calendar, and then it scrolls through, and you got to, it's not a calendar you look at. You got to scroll for the day. So there's that. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Tap Rack Tactical. Also with my name, Bill Blowers, and my Tap Rack and Bill Blowers on Facebook are essentially the same thing. I post the exact same content to both of those spaces just to get the word out about shit. I do have a Patreon site, so doing that. If you're not familiar with Patreon, just Google Patreon, Patreon. Get in there. You can search for patrons, is how it's set up, and then to join that's as little as $1 a month. And so the patrons join up my site, and then I'll kick out. I'm doing a drill of the month kind of a thing now, where I'll shoot a drill video it, post it, and then essentially whoever shoots it the fastest wins my stuff. That's the point of those things. So I'll usually have like 5 things that I've either received from somewhere in the industry or something I'm not using anymore. Whatever, all of it's good, serviceable shit. Usually about $100 in value. And the guy that shoots that posts his video of him shooting that drill the fastest wins the thing, and I send it to him, and then we pop a new drill up and drive on from there. So it's a pretty good time. Kind of limited on the info sharing. I'm trying to. I keep bugging those guys. What do you guys want me to talk about? What do you want me to talk about? Because it's you run out of shit at some point. But also there. And that's it, man. So doing that shit, and I'll be at SHOT Show if anybody's going to that. High fives all around. Maybe I'll be at the Beretta booth on Thursday talking about their shotguns. Doing another thing that I can't talk about right now. Sorry, I shouldn't have mentioned that. Anyway, I'll be at SHOT doing shit. So I'll be around, running around with some Tiger stickers and shit like that.
Oh yeah, and then come April, man, we're gonna be hooking up again for Shooter Symposium.
Yeah,
it's gonna be an awesome time, man.
Yeah, fun time for sure. Good to see some good dudes there. Brokos is a solid guy. I met him prior to last year. At some point, I hosted him for some training, and very, very impressed with that guy as a human, as an American, as a shooter, as a tactician. Just solid guy. Jared Rustin, solid, funny dude.
Oh my God, so funny.
Obviously, a very solid instructor and guy. Chuck P, of course, going to be there. I mean, there's an action-packed lineup at the Noner, Vova. If you ain't going to the symposium, you're a dumbass, bro. I mean, that's the best training dollar you can spend. I mean, it's really, really a kick-ass thing that Matt Shockey has put together and worked. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and since I'm starting to stockpile these bad boys, I gotta play the time machine thing. So Shockey will have aired probably a week before this one airs. So 2 weeks ago when that one aired, which is actually 2 days from now. It's 2/3 full, guys. It's 2/3 full already, and it's not for 3-4 months. Get on that stuff because it's just gonna be epic, man.
Yeah.
Like we talked last time, man. What's his face? I'm not gonna say his name, but when we were running the 25-yard bowl, man, my man walked away with like $3 to $4 grand worth of shit.
Yeah, dude.
We're getting a 97.
Yep, which is good shooting, but I was expecting a hundo.
Dude, I mean, Ricky Bobby here shot a 97 Colt first time the other day. I was waiting for my Hodge upper. Nobody brought it to me. Nobody brought it to me, man. So anyway, all right, guys. What's that?
Could be a negative.
I know, exactly. Stop being negative, man. Anyway, guys, you know where to go to find me, modernsamuraiproject.com. Hit the classes link. You'll know where I'll be. When this airs, I will probably be in South Georgia teaching class out there, but check it out. Check out the schedule. I also do virtual privates if you want to work on your draw, your reloads, or whatever. We can do dry fire. It's actually pretty cool. We do it over Skype. So check that out. And as always, be good, stay safe, get training.